Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, January 30th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What is up, everybody? Yeah, excited. A 3 prep Saturday coming up. Can't get much better than that, right? So, yeah, it's going to be a great show today. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, we survived the Pegasus. I think that's the right word, right? Survived the Pegasus. Survived the Southwest, even frankly. We'll talk about that here in a sec. So we have been saying right all along that after the Pegasus we can get the business on this on this Derby trail, and and perfect and perfect reasoning for that is who's your 2-year-old champion, your / Breeders' Cup juvenile winner, Citizen Bull coming back, making his debut here this weekend. So in the Robert B. Lewis. So it kind of does feel like we are, and here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we kind of got a little bit of Derby talk last week with the Southwest and everything that happened and didn't happen there, and what turned out to just kind of be a weird race. And like I said, the Pegasus, always a huge day. I've always loved the Pegasus. And this year was just kind of, shocking that White Barrio was able to do what he did. I guess he's back. How long can he stay back this time? I think that's going to be a big question. And then, the New York bred getting a win outside of New York finally with Spirit of St. Louis on the turf. So really some interesting results on that whole card. It was a tough ass card. Kind of knew it going in and kind of felt it coming out, right? For lack of a better phrase there.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone kind of expected, like we talked about on the previews, the card felt like it could be that way, but the three, at least 2 of the 3 felt like they were, as far as the Pegasus races go, felt like fairly chalky,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it just didn't make it come out that way. White Barrio I guess he is back. I don't know. I mean, when he runs his race, he runs huge. Like that race was over, like before it started for a lot of those horses in that race. He looked incredible, and obviously he's shown that in the past, and it looked like he had. What do you make of this horse now? Because he's when he made his run, it was kind of like, well, that was a weird, he never was really good before that, and he made this run, and he came back, and he was awful again, and so you're like, obviously that was just kind of a couple race streak there, but now he's back. So what have they gotten out of this horse?
Yeah, I don't really know. I was shocked because I was watching Locked because obviously I picked him, and he ran well, and he made a really nice move, and I thought, okay, and then I scanned back up to think I'm going to see Saudi Crown, and I'm like, holy shit, White Barrio's 6 ahead. I was like,
Yeah.
I said out loud to myself, I was definitely talking to myself by the end of this card, but I said out loud to myself, well, fucking sure he's 6 ahead. Locked is going to fire a big race. I feel like he's going to run well, and White Barrio today is going to be the day where he gets back to what he was a year and a half ago almost, or at least a year and 3 months ago or 2 months ago. So I can't really explain it. When he got to Dutrow, he immediately got better, and it's like, yeah, maybe we explain it. And then he fell off with him, and then he got back with Safi, and he ran 2 races here before the Pegasus, and I don't think either race he ran was bad, but it wasn't anywhere close to what he was. And then he jumped up and was able to. I mean, I think that race was just as good as the Whitney or the Breeders' Cup Classic that he won.
Yeah.
I was talking to Vinny after the race. He's like, if Vinny broke, or if Locke broke from a different post, maybe. And I was like, no, dude. Like, I understand what you're saying. It was a tough trip, but like, you're not beating White Barrio when he runs like that. Like, Locke is never going to win that race. He might have made it closer for sure, but no, you can't beat White Barrio when he runs like that. And I don't know where it came from. I guess we absolutely knew that he had it in him because we'd seen it, but I just didn't think he could get back to that again. And my God, he was unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, we'll see if you have the stones to play him back next time out. Couple of mentions. You mentioned Locked. I think still a good horse. We'll see. He might have a good year still. I think Saudi Crown he looked really good until he didn't. I think he's just clearly doesn't want to go that far. We kind of talked about it, like maybe he could steal this thing just because of the speed situation. I mean, he looked good. I thought he looked within himself, and then when it came time to kick on, he didn't, and then he even faded late. So it's like, I do think he's a nice horse. I just don't think that race is where he needs to go.
I almost feel like, and Gabe just commented, he said, Wide Barrio made Saudi Crown feel embarrassed. It almost felt that a little bit because Saudi Crown was out there, he was cruising, and then Wide Barrio just went right by, and that horse just quit.
He said, he said, I'm done.
He dropped the anchor. And it almost makes you think, boy, if nobody passes him right there, maybe he takes it. I don't know if he wins, but he takes it a little bit further.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, Wide Barrio really, since those two huge races, he hadn't shown a ton of that early speed. He was right there on Saturday. I mean, no, he wasn't like setting the pace, but he was well within range. And you kind of thought up the backstretch, like, okay, he's running a little better today. And boy, did he ever just turn it on. So, I mean, I can't explain why this horse does this every now and then, but you just got to tip your cap because it was a good effort. I mean, you're not beating that horse on that day. That's for sure.
All right. This is a kind of focused on the Kentucky Derby pod. So let's pivot to the Southwest, which was ran off obviously on Saturday as well. And going into it, it was the headline. Of course, who is it? The hype, the big hype horse, Patch Adams, or is it gaming for Baffert? And obviously finished second last out. In the juvenile, it's like, okay, which one is it? And
Mm-hmm.
Neither. And gaming, I just got word that gaming finished the race. And Patch Adams, I mean, I wouldn't say he ran awful, but he definitely didn't run like the hyped horse he was. So what did you make of the Southwest? Speed King, by the way, give credit to Speed King. Speed King did win the race, but what do you make of that race after the race?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a disaster for gaming. And to me, gaming's, I'm kind of done, right? Like he's just, yes, he had a bad trip. Yes, he had some problems. A lot of his problems he caused himself because he wouldn't get in the position the jockey wanted him to get in. He just didn't really do it. So I'm kind of done with him. Patch Adams, I'd like to see one more. I'm pretty much done with him, but I do think that was not really the desired trip for Patch Adams. He was sitting third to last. He really didn't have any trouble. It just wasn't a trip that you thought he would have. He kicked on a little bit, then he faded. It wasn't great. I mean, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It wasn't great. Let's talk positively though. Speed King was awesome in the race. He breaks from the 10 hole. They put him on the lead and he just doesn't look back. And a whole mess of horses had a whole shitload of problems behind him. You know how you stay out of trouble? Get to the lead.
Yeah.
They're all behind him playing bumper cars and he's just out there cruising. So I do think you got to give him credit. I mean, and when you look back now, the Remington Park Springboard Mile, he got second and he got beat by Cole Battle, who came back to win the Smarty Jones. So maybe he did run better than we thought that day. I was pissed at him because I thought he should have won that at Remington and he didn't. But anyway, he ran well. And I do think, yeah, a lot of people had a lot of tough trips. Nobody had a tougher trip than Sandman, and he was still able to get second. So I think you got to keep an eye on him as well. Hopefully he can kind of get himself in a better position. So I do think with Speed King and Sandman, I think they proved they're pretty darn good. And the rest of them have got to get going in their next race.
Yeah, I wanted to think about Patch Adams. I think the hype obviously very clearly was too high on him, but so I do think that you kind of can be a little harder on him than maybe you should be based off of that. Having said that, I think it's okay to do so because the hype was there, right, for a reason, and he didn't live up. Like a good horse, a horse to that level that the next Derby winner, the next justify, as Kevin said from Ryan. It's you win that race. At the very least, you run second, and he just didn't, he ran fourth. And, yeah, there's some, you can write some of that off, but at the same time, like, I think, and obviously he lost on debut, then he won like he did. Like, he might be a horse that's a little quirky as well. Just kind of still figuring it out. I'm with you. I'm not like completely off of him, like saying like he has no chance to make the Derby. Like this is having said that, his value has gone dramatically down.
I want to say something that Mike Somich said to me after Fierceness last year in the Kentucky Derby. And Mike is, obviously he's pretty darn smart. And this was something that I thought really, really smart. And I don't know if I told you, he told me this or not. He goes, the problem I think we have sometimes with 3-year-olds and with the big races when they come up, we're looking for the next blank, whether it be the next Justify, the next American Pharaoh, the next whoever, you want to put there in the blank. He goes, but the problem is those horses don't come around very often. And he said, the problem he was speaking with himself. He said, the problem I had was I was trying to make Fierceness the next blank. He goes, but when American Pharaoh or Justify ran in the Kentucky Derby, I didn't have to make a case for them. All I had to say was, well, look what they're doing. I didn't have to go on shows and say, yeah, he lost this race, but he said they didn't lose races, and he's like, I think that's the problem. And so that really stuck with me. And so this year I kind of took a different approach with everybody's going crazy about Patch Adams. He's going to be the next Justify. Yeah, the Justify, we didn't really ever question. If Justify would have showed up in last week's Southwest, it would have been a slam dunk and we would have known it on paper. Where last week we're like, yeah, it's great sign Pratt's here, but these speed figures are kind of close. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're always looking for that next great horse, but only maybe one a year, if that. And sometimes it's every 3 or 4 years actually is the next great horse. So that's why with Patch Adams, I just didn't rank him all that high. I still had him up in the top 5 or number 5, but I just wanted to see him go around 2 turns, and we saw it. I want to see it one more time. I want to see him maybe try to get a better spot, but he just kind of looked on the backstretch. I was shaking my head like, this ain't it. He's not going to do this, you know?
You had to have felt a little bit of relief after, I know you were kind of kicking yourself after the draft because you're like, man, what did I miss? It says, everyone wanted Patch Adams. Everyone and their mom wanted Patch Adams in this draft. And here you were, had the number 1 pick. And obviously, and I'm not for good reason because he was lightly raced, but you took Citizen Bull. Well, we'll find out. Obviously, you could look extremely great after this week. You say, I told you guys all along it was Citizen Bull. But yeah, you kind of, again, Patch Adams, I'm not going to sit here and say can't make the Derby. It's Brad Cox. It's still January. He's going to at least run 2 more times, maybe 3, depending on where they spot him. So there's no doubt that horse could still get in, but you feel dramatically less confident about that than you did. Well, certain people than you did a week ago. So
yeah, absolutely. And you're right. My time could be coming. Citizen Bull may be awful. I mean, the signs are there that he's going to be as far as, the juvenile isn't much, right now. So, but he won it and we'll see what happens. But anyway, it's that time of year too, right? We're separating the pretenders from the contenders, and this happens every year. So it wasn't shocking to me when Patch Adams didn't run very well. I certainly thought he would run better. I thought he'd win that race, but it just didn't happen. And maybe he's a 1-turn horse. Maybe it just wasn't his day. We'll just have to see as we go along here.
I do think, to that point of what you said about Justify and Pharaoh, and I think it's spot on. And I think we do it in every aspect of sports, right?
Yeah.
It's not, you can see it right now, right? With Patrick Mahomes. All everybody wants to talk about is he better than Tom Brady? Is he better than Tom? Is he the next Tom Brady? Is he better than Tom? Is he the GOAT? It's like, how about we just sit back and enjoy what is happening right now, right? And let that happen. We can have that discussion down the road. And it kind of goes to what you're saying. It's like, well, maybe you don't have to find the next Justify, but just find the good horse right now. And so,
yeah,
I think a lot of times we like to, like you said, it's like, well, that was good, but it wasn't no Justify. Like, well,
right.
Okay. Or that was great. He's no Patrick Mahomes. He's no Tom Brady. Well, that was insane, what you're seeing. So you got to enjoy those moments, just like you got to enjoy that run that Justify had and Pharaoh had and all those things, because they don't come around. Even the really, really good ones in today's running aren't Justify or American Pharaoh. And I'm just using those 2 horses as examples. But even like a horse like Zenyatta, who made her run every single time, that doesn't happen, And so when it does happen, you got to enjoy it.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. Just sit back and enjoy it. And like I said, they don't come around very often. I remember when Justify won the Triple Crown, and that was the second one there. You had 15 and 18. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, we're going to see this a lot. I was like, I don't know. Don't take it for granted. It is not easy. And then here we are in 2025, and we haven't seen one since 18. And there's a reason. It's tough, and you got to be special. It's just that simple. You can't fake the Triple Crown. You got to be really, really good.
I see that. I see your jersey, Gabe. That's you're not happy about the Chiefs, I know. But listen, you're talking to the number one Chiefs fan here, and you're gonna hear it a few times. I'll do my best this week, though. Next week you'll definitely hear it. But yeah, Chiefs back to Super Bowl. Are you guys sick of it yet? I'm not. All right, guys, let's get into today's show. We are gonna look at 3 Kentucky Derby prep races running all this weekend. The $250,000 Holy Bull at Gulfstream, the $200,000 Robert B. Lewis at Santa Anita, and the $250,000 Withers at Aqueduct. Did you know that they took the grade 3 off that? It's no longer a graded race.
I knew it when I saw the field come out. That's when the first time I knew. So.
And actually, it was so kind of, at least in some regards, unexpected, because in the on Kentucky Derby, like on their actual like list of the scheduled races for the prep races, it's still a grade 3. So
interesting.
But it obviously is no longer, which probably should be, right?
I think when you first kind of get into racing, you really take stuff like that serious. And then the longer it goes, you're like, I just don't care. Like, so I called the Clark or the Cigar Mile a grade 1 race.
Yeah.
And John texts, he's like, actually, it's a grade 2 now. And I almost, if it wasn't John, I would have texted back. Actually, I don't give a shit. But I did. Oh, thanks, John. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't. So I probably should just stop saying graded, because I hardly even look at it anymore. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. It's not a matter of if it's a graded race. It's a matter of getting points for the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
So,
yep.
All right, guys, let's go. We're down to like just a few left until we get to the first 50-pointer, guys.
Yeah. February 15th, Risen Star.
Yep. We're 2 weeks.
We got this, and then we got Sam F. Davis next week, and then Risen Star, Rebel. And then a shit ton of them, I think, in March 1st. So
it's crazy, the Rebel already. And then you guys, it's going to be March. I mean, it's like people's. I mean, I do feel like January was slow, especially with all the weather we've had and cold as shit. But man, it's like at the same time, it's like it's already February tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
it's
no,
wild.
What day is February? February is Saturday, but still, I mean, the whole month flew by.
It's wild.
Saudi Derby, Dubai, Kentucky Derby is the route the winner will take. All right. Are you talking about our horse? I doubt
getaway car.
Yeah, getaway car. He's gonna need a getaway car before he's gonna need a getaway car to make it to the Derby, I'm afraid. At least run him in points races. The Robert B. Lewis is a very. I can't wait to talk about that, because it's the ultimate Witch Baffert.
I know.
Witch Baffert. You might have the right horse as far as was it between Patch and Citizen Bull, but you may have picked the wrong Baffert. You know, it kind of feels like that kind of race.
I know. I'm ready to be disappointed.
That's the spirit. Saturday, Gulfstream Park will kick things off here with race number 11, the Holy Bull Stakes. It is a grade 3 worth 200 and, well, it was 250, but now it says 265. 1 1/16 miles. I stopped caring.
And it's a grade 7 this year. It's now a grade 7.
It's a grade 6.5 actually this year. They knocked it. Yeah. They knocked it down a notch, half a notch. Field of 7 lined up here. 20 points to the winner. 20, 10, 6, 4, 2 for your top 5 finishers. And it really 9-5 on Ferocious, 5-2 on Guns Loaded, the winner last out. Tappan Street. This is an interesting horse. At 3-1, 5-1 on Burnham Square. Burning Glory for Bill Mott at 8-1. The other two are 15-1. But listen, Ferocious is a favorite. Has had hype for quite some time, but if you think you can beat them, there are prices to add. Yeah,
absolutely. And I did try to beat him. I don't sit here and blame anybody for taking Ferocious, but I just don't know that I can do it. The horse was all the rage at Saratoga, broke the maiden on August 3rd and looked great doing it. And then second in the hopeful, where he just kind of ran one of the greenest races you'll ever see, just kind of running with friends basically the whole time. Looked like he was going to fade away and not do anything. Then Chancer McPatrick passed him and he goes, oh shit, maybe I'll go run with him for a minute and finish second. Breeders' Futurity, East Avenue stomped him, and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile got stomped in that one as well. Fifth, beaten 6.5. Problem is, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile just hasn't come back very well at all. Nobody's won out of it. Now, we haven't had just a ton of horses, but we've had enough run out of it that it's kind of skeptical. So I don't really want Ferocious at 9-5. If you're picking him, you think he's going to win. I don't necessarily say don't do that. I mean, for me, it's just like, it's not for me at that price. So no to me for Ferocious. Dude, I went with a long shot in here. I went number 6, Burning Glory to win at 8-1 for Bill Mott. I kind of like what's happened here with this horse and how Bill Mott has kind of progressed him. First race wasn't very good. Second race, better. Got second. Third race, really good, I thought. Winning a maiden special weight at Churchill Downs by a neck. Yeah, big time form figure. I just like the progression. And the other big thing for me, Mott trains a horse named Tux, who was third in the Rimson last time out. That's who I was assuming was going to run in this race, Tux. And when I saw Tux in an allowance in Burning Glory here, I thought to myself, that's enough for me to think that Mott really likes Burning Glory. Now, is he good enough to win? Hell, I don't know. We'll see when they run, right? But I really think at 8-1, he makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I like this one quite a bit. This is a horse that my esteemed colleague Kevin and I considered claiming this week before, but just felt like one of those horses that you're taking a big risk here with claiming a horse before this race, because if he doesn't run well, then you just lost 20, right? So, but I do like him a lot. I'm with you. The fact that Bill Mott has showed up here, I mean, we know Bill Mott, how conservative he can be with his horses to run, a horse that, has took 3 starts to break the maiden and finally did. And, a lot of times you'd see the horse maybe go to allowance from that. But he's going straight to this race. So that does tell you, T-Gaff back aboard as well. I'm with you pretty much in line with the thinking of trying to beat these short prices. I mean, there's no... I understand, like, it's one of those things, like, I understand why Ferocious and Guns Loaded are short prices. I don't want to play them at short prices.
Yeah.
Because Ferocious has done nothing but lose. I mean, let's be honest. Now, there's been 3 straight grade 1 since the maiden special weight. So that's very, very fair. You could also argue that he might be a little bit better 1-turn horse than 2. So I think that's a factor for me as well. And then Guns Loaded, I just visually, I was not a fan of the Mucho Macho Man. I just didn't think it was that impressive. Now, again, he certainly could. I did find it interesting. Now, tell me about this horse, Tappan Street. It's another horse that we considered claiming for Brad Cox. Luis Saez aboard here Luis Saez has ridden Guns Loaded every start, all 3 starts of the career. Now, you're getting IRAD on Guns Loaded, no issue there. But Saez also rode Tappan Street on that debut that he win, and he's going there. So what do you make of that?
I think I make that Guns Loaded is not going to win this race. I thought that was a really bad sign for Guns Loaded. Look, he did not run very well in the Mucho Macho Man. He just barely held on going a mile. I don't think Saez thinks this horse will stretch out all that well despite a decent pedigree for it. And I think Saez thinks Tappan Street's going to be a little bit better. So, look, I think it's a bad sign for Guns Loaded, a great sign for Tappan Street that Saez is aboard. If you remember, Jared, Saez in the Mucho Macho Man had his choice between 3 different horses, and he chose Guns Loaded over 2 other ones. Good choice. Now he's choosing Tappan Street over Guns Loaded. So it's like, okay, that's not a great sign at all. So if you like the Cox horse, I understand. It's interesting that you guys thought about claiming him. I know 2 other teams kind of mentioned after the deadline. They texted me, he's like, hey, did anybody claim this horse? I was thinking about him. So I think he definitely had some interest in the fantasy league. And I think it's right to if you want to pick him here, I don't think it's a bad pick. Pretty good debut. Should be better here going a mile and 16th.
All right. Well, I'm not picking. I'm going kind of your line of thinking, but just to the horse. I think you actually said the number first. Number
Yep.
7, Burnham Square for me. This is, and I'm a little nervous. This feels a little bit of a hype or kind of a wise guy type of horse. So we'll see what the price is on him, but I do think you'll get a fair price because of the other ones in it. Burnham Square has done really is it can kind of say the same thing about what you said with Burning Glory. Has been, lost on debut, lost to get on the maiden special weight, but it's gotten the numbers improved each time. Monet's Magic. Now that was one factor I almost didn't pick. Monet's Magic, who beat the horse, didn't come back all that well to run. I think it was in the Southwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did win the next start and then lost in the Southwest. And then the maiden special weight, where the broke maiden, it's like the light bulb went off, won by 9 at Gulfstream Park. This horse has ran a mile 16th last 2 starts. I think that's a big factor for me as well. Out of a Scat Daddy mare, Liam's Map sire. So this horse has shown to be pretty versatile as well. It's gone to the front, has come from out of it. So I like the fact that this horse has some options here. There feels to be a little bit of hype behind this horse. Now we'll see what he does, but I think this is the kind of race this type of horse could win.
Yeah, I like the pick. I thought about him for a while as well because I was with you. I didn't want to play the 2 or the 4, and so then I just started going to the other horses, and I examined this one. The one thing that and I shouldn't hold it against this horse because he's proven to be good, but I hate that they started him in a maiden claimer right off the bat, and he was 30-1 in that race. I just can't get over that. I was like, they didn't like this horse all that well.
Yeah.
Obviously, though, it's worked out. It went right to a maiden special weight after that. And like you kind of said, ran pretty well. But I thought the key was the last race, and you said it. And the big difference for me, last race, the horse goes right to the front, takes him gate to wire after being way behind in the first 2 races. And what a difference it made. Just look at the improvement. So we'll see. Let's see if the horse can get out of the gate and do that kind of thing again. I think you got to put him on a ticket. I like the pick.
Yeah, they added blinkers last time out as well, so I think that was a big factor. Now the race prior to that, it definitely something triggered a little bit as well. Now he didn't win, but you could tell like the numbers came back pretty strong. It was a better race, and like okay, this horse might be, and then maybe it was a 2-turn thing as well. But yeah, you're right, 30-1, 18-1, and then even or almost even money in the next start in the maiden special weight at Gulfstream. So yeah. Could be really anything, but visually that last race looked like a horse that, damn, that horse, I mean, he can run. I mean, now what kind of level, I don't know, but I'm okay playing him here. I'd rather play 5-1 if that's what you're going to get than, I mean, well, really the 2, 3, or 4 at prices at 3-1 or lower. Now, if Tappan Street were to kind of sneak up there a little bit and like kind of, if it came like where Tappan Street and Burnham Square were similar prices, that might be a little bit of a decision to make. But I'm not. I just think the hype will be on Tappan Street a little bit here.
How much are you kind of afraid of Tappan Street after kind of seeing Brad Cox fail with a couple of hyped, lightly raced horses?
Yeah.
I know Disco Time did his job, so it's not foolproof, but at least at Oaklawn, Hot Property and then Patch Adams, just nothing from them.
You gotta be. I mean, you got to be careful with these kind of horses because it's not like the hypes. I mean, this is $1 million horse. Let's be honest, but you haven't heard a lot about this horse until it just shows up here, right? It's not like it's like you've been waiting for this horse to do. Some people may have, but we knew about Disco. We knew about Patch. Like that was really a case in point why I didn't want to put a claim in on him because I just thought he could be anything, and he might be one and done here. And so that is an issue. I feel like with Brad Cox, the difference between Brad Cox and Baffert, it's like Brad Cox, they have a lot of runners. They both do. But it's with Brad, it just feels like this seems like you don't have any idea what they're going to do in that race. Mm-hmm. Whereas when Bob Baffert has a big 3-year-old in a race, you definitely feel like he's probably live. He's probably thinking this horse can win. With Tappan Street, you never know. What's he gonna? It's just maybe it's the connection. Maybe they want to run him. It's WinStar. I don't know. I have a tougher feel for Brad Cox horses than I do Bob Baffert.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that as well. And it does seem like even though we're on the cusp of gaming not running very well last week, but that almost felt predictable. But yeah, some of these Cox horses, you definitely kind of, they show up sometimes, they just don't run very well. So I don't hold it against this horse though, what other horses out of the barn have done. But I'm with you. It's like you don't hear much about him, and then he shows up here, and it's like, are we supposed to think he's like the best in the world? I don't. I wouldn't be shocked if he wins, but I just didn't want to go there. But I do think Sai as a board is a big time plus. So I don't blame anybody for playing him on top next. I thought about it, but I just wanted to wait and see on this one.
We'll see, guys. Remember last year's running, Hades won this race last year, and all Hades did after that is not win. So again, if you guys remember correctly, this was the debut, or not the debut race, but the 2 or 3-year-old debut for Fierceness after the unbelievable effort in the Breeders' Cup. And then we saw that effort, and then we saw the other effort, and then we saw, the beginning of the unpredictable, ferocious, or Fierceness really, really took center stage at this point in this race. So with that said, who knows what's going to happen here? And also with that in line, this is a race. It's like last year, for instance, this race produced one horse, and that horse was Fierceness, which was the favorite of the race. But do you think that if I gave you 2.5, let's do 1.5. 1.5.
Oh boy, I think I'd go under.
Go under. That's probably right. I think that's right. If anything over any 2 or more is a huge win for this race, in my opinion. So
I would agree.
All right, let's head on over to let's go to Santa Anita, guys. Race number 4, the Robert B. Lewis Stakes, Grade 3. We're 200K going 1 mile for 3-year-olds. Field of 5. 3 of them Bob Bafferts. That's really the only 3. I'll say it. The only 3 you need to know because they're the shortest prices on the board. 6-5 on Citizen Bull. Your reigning 2-year-old champion, your juvenile champion, 6-5 on Rodriguez, and 5-2 on Madacat Road. It's you look at this race, it's like, do you want to take? You just want to take the flashy one, the one has produced, the one that you can count on. Do you want to take the longer shot of the semi-flashy one? Where are you going here? This is in there. It's just hard. It's hard enough to even predict how the pace of the race is going to unfold in a 5-horse field, and 3 of them are Bob Baffert.
You just said it right. We've seen this show before, and it's really always hard to kind of determine between 3 Bob Bafferts in a race. It's just tough. And who gets the lead? Who's the blocker? Who's the one that they're going to let try to make a run? I don't know the answer to it. And then you kind of add in, like you said, there's nothing with the 4 and the 5 to really look at. The 4 is a pretty good turf horse. The 5, I think, was just thrown in the field, so they had the race basically. So, look, I went with the horse that I think is going to get to the lead, and I think that's the number 3 Rodriguez. I think he's going to get to the front. I think he's just naturally the fastest horse in the race, and I think he's going to take a gate to wire. So I went number 3 Rodriguez on top. I also like, Hernandez was on the 1. Madacat Road last time out. He was on the 3 Rodriguez. He's riding back Rodriguez. I think that's a great sign. So that's how I determined between the 3 and the 1. And I just kind of looked at it and said, okay, Citizen Bull, are you going to go with him? Or are you going to go with the new shooter, kind of the new flashy horse? And I chose the flashy horse in this situation because I just think he's going to get to the front and really, really tough to run down. Rodriguez, the race last time out was just simply faster than anything Citizen Bull has done yet. And by the way, this race is at a mile. And I think that's really, really good news for Rodriguez and not quite as good of news for Citizen Bull. I think he'll be better when we go longer. So give me the 3 Rodriguez.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of signs, or at least angles to go for the 3 because of the he's fresher. Obviously, Citizen Bull is his first start in a couple months, and like kind of said in the chat, it's like he does. They're always going to try to win the race, but Citizen Bull has got the points. This is pure, in fact, like when you look at when Bob Baffert's looking at this race, he's like, all right, Citizen Bull's in the Derby. So now let's just work our way backwards of getting him to the peak spot into the Derby. Whereas a horse like Rodriguez, I need to get to the Derby. I need to get so there's two different factors there with these horses. I do think it's between the 2 and the 3. I don't really disagree with you in terms of I think the 3. I mean, I would be shocked if the 3 doesn't go. Having said that, I think the class. I still need to see another race out of Rodriguez. Citizen Bull has been nothing but consistent, especially at going the 2 turns here at a mile. Give me the multiple grade 1 winner, Citizen Bull. I just think the hype might be a little too much on Rodriguez to take that short. If there's similar prices, like if you're talking 65, 75, what they are on the morning line, give me Citizen Bull.
I hope you're right. That'd be good for the fantasy team. And I hope you are right about that. I'm skeptical. He is working like crazy good.
Dude. Honestly, that put me over the edge with him.
And look, it's not like I'm sitting here and saying, it's impossible for Citizen Bull to win. Obviously, it's not. He's a very good horse. So I hope you're right. Maybe I'm trying to, counteract. Hey, if Rodriguez loses, at least it's one of my fantasy horses that wins. But I don't know, dude. I just watched that last race over and over, and I'm like, I think he's a little better. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Now, where are your thoughts at on this, like, long term? This is just one race. This is a 20-point race for the winner. Like I mentioned, Citizen Bull's already in, essentially. Is this you still really like Citizen Bull over Rodriguez, like, long term, or do you think Rodriguez is, as we said earlier in the show, is Rodriguez the next Justified?
No, I don't think he's the next Justified.
Okay, just making sure.
But look, I think the race shape and how this race unfolds will lead to give that horse a chance next time out. He had no chance type of, you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't think if Madigan Road, Citizen Bull, Rodriguez, whoever loses out of those 3, there'll be 2 that loses. I don't necessarily think it's the end of the road for him whatsoever. I think it would be a great sign if Madigan Road won for him. Like, that'd be a big feather in his cap. But Citizen Bull, Rodriguez, I don't know if they run 1-2, does it mean the second place finisher isn't very good? I don't think so. I just think it might be the conditions of the race. Anytime it's a 5-horse race, dude, there's weird things that can happen.
Well, to that point, and hear me out. Listen, like all sports have some sort of, whether it be point shaving or something and horse racing is maybe the top of the list, right? We see it all, you've got 3 horses, all trained by Bob Baffert, all owned by the same ownership, SF Racing, which is weird in itself that they're all, like, I guess you can't couple them because then you'd have 3 horses, really, 3 betting in the race. If you've got Citizen Bull essentially in the Kentucky Derby, what's worth more if you're Rodriguez, getting a horse like Rodriguez, 10 points or 20? Well, I mean, kind of feels like, hey, get to the lead, you go. Hey, Garcia, don't go all out on, like, this is his first start. Like, let's just get a good race under his belt.
I mean, we could see that, right? I don't think that's unrealistic what you laid out. I think if Citizen Bull can pass him without a lot of urging, then they'll do that. But I think I don't think they're going to go all out to the wire with Citizen Bull. Could be wrong, but I think you're right about that. And you mentioned the coupling. I think Curtis mentioned the coupling as well. That's not a thing in Southern California. Or in California in general. You don't couple horses. They did away with that rule. And the reason they did away with it is because of what you just said. The betting interests, they need all they can get because nobody runs in these races. So, I think what you laid out could totally happen.
Yeah, how lame would this race be if you had all 3 as the same option, and the other 2 were a turf horse and some horse that you never heard of? So,
right.
That's just where we're at here. So, Bob Baffert has plenty, as Kevin has alluded to. It's so nice to have so many that you can send getaway car to the desert, hoping to never see him again. Yeah, exactly. So with 3 Bafferts in the race, essentially going to earn all 3 spots here. Go 36 points to these 3. What are you thinking here, long term?
I just laughed to never see him again. Part got me bad. Long term, look, I think all three of these Bafferts are decent. Obviously, they're probably better than decent, but I think they're all three good prospects. I think they'll all three run in preps again, no matter what happens here, unless there's injuries and stuff. So I don't really know what this is going to project long term for us. I think seeing them in more of a normal race condition will really tell us. I don't know what we're going to learn here unless one of them just runs off the screen, and then we're going to learn, wow, this is the Baffert horse,
Yeah.
So I don't know what we learned from this. I really don't, but I do think long term these three Bafferts are pretty good, and I think they're ready to kind of start taking the steps towards the Derby.
The one thing people should know about Bob Baffert when it comes to these Derby preps is that in a sense, does not give a shit about prep races in January and February. Like, he just doesn't. Like, he even made a quote earlier this week saying, like, hey, like, basically, I'll paraphrase it, but it was like, the big races are at the end, in April, March and April, what matter, And so these are all about getting. Yes, they're Kentucky Derby prep races on paper. Yes, there's points awarded, but this is all about him getting his horses into the right directions. What is Rodriguez? What is Citizen Bull? What is Mighty Cat Road? Where are these horses going to end up next? Where my chess piece is going to be laid out in the next 2 months. That's what this race is about. And so weird things can happen in these types of races, let alone, not to mention the fact that it's a small field, but just you don't really know the underlying tones of where they're, why he's this horse is here, that kind of thing. So just always keep now March, April, last preps, Santa Anita Derby, Arkansas Derby, all those races. Yeah. Like if they're in there, they're lock solid, ready to roll. But these races, we saw it last week, right? With gaming being sent out to Oaklawn Park. You expected him to run better than that, certainly, but you also were like, well, this is definitely we're gonna see what he is, kind of performance from him. So, I think you do have to have that kind of mindset in these early races with Bob Baffert.
Yep, no, I agree. And like I said, with the gaming situation last week, we all kind of knew, okay, this is a proving ground. You don't feel that this isn't really even though they're trying, Rodriguez and Medica Road are trying to prove something. You're going into this race thinking they're going to run well. With the gaming situation was like, I hope he runs better. Not he is, going to run better.
This strictly feels like these are Derby horses. Let's figure out where they're going next. Whereas gaming was like, all right, let's see if we can get him back on, kind of back in, in line with what we thought he was originally. So, all right, you're going with the new shooter. I'm going the kind of the Ferrari. I'm going with Citizen Bull, the horse that has already proven. Let me go to race number 7. Let's go to Aqueduct, the Withers Stakes, the no longer Grade 3 Withers Stakes, $250,000, 1 1/8 miles for 3-year-olds. Fill 7 shows up here, and we went from kind of a fun race with some decent kind of potential horses, where then we went to the Bob Baffert Classic and how many of those horses are going to end up at the Derby, to this. Now, I'll let you tell me, do we have any good ones in there?
I watched the replays on all these yesterday evening, and it's just like, boy. The only one that I thought might have a chance to be more than just average was, well, there's two, but the one I think might be more than just average is number 6, Captain Cook. I just feel like the maiden last time out, he showed a little bit of a turn of foot that's just a little bit better than everybody else in this race. And so I think he could be decent. I went number 6, Captain Cook on top. The other one that might be okay is the number 4, Uncle Jim. He had a lot of hype after that maiden special weight win at Keeneland. He showed up at Aqueduct, ran an allowance, and he looked like shit. I'm not going to say he didn't, but he got beat by Cyclone State and ICANN, 2 horses that ran okay in the Jerome. Obviously, Cyclone State won the Jerome. Maybe Uncle Jim that wasn't his day, and maybe he's going to kind of live up to the hype a little bit more, but I don't know. He wasn't very good in that race. So anyway, Captain Cook, the 6th horse for me. I thought the maiden special weight was really good last time out, so he's kind of the one I leaned on, but this is not fun. This is not a good field.
Yeah, Kevin's right. Like, where are the Pletcher horses? Chad Brown. You know, we've talked about two races that two tracks that typically have large contingency of Chad Brown or Pletcher. Where are all the 3-year-olds for Todd Pletcher at right now? Hurt?
He doesn't look to have any that are very good. If you remember when we were talking to our buddy before the draft, he kind of alluded to the fact, none of them are too good guys. And they haven't been. They debuted Disruptor on Pegasus Day, and everybody was saying that horse is going to be good. He was awful too. So I don't know. It doesn't look good. And then brown horses, it seems like they all get hurt right now on the dirt. He just can't get one healthy. So yeah, it's not good for the two big New York trainers there, no doubt.
All right, I'm kind of on your line of thinking here. I went with the number 6 Captain Cook as well. I'm kind of with what you said. Just feels like that. Now the first race, whatever, that you throw it out. But the last race went off a heavy favorite at Aqueduct, going 7 furlongs. It was in the slot, but this horse just showed it just went away from the field. Omaha was a little bit interesting to me as well. Couldn't quite get there with that one, but this you kind of also wonder with the 6 Captain Cook. Was it how much was the slop aided in that? Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked at the weather. I hate doing that with these races, but I know we've had rain the last couple of days, so I don't know if it's headed out that direction, if it's going to hit about the same time. I don't know. But if we have any sort of track, off track or sloppy track of any sorts, I mean, obviously that you would think would aid, or at least certainly wouldn't hinder Captain Cook. What about the 5 Mo Quality? A horse finished second at Oakland Park last out, won at Churchill Downs before that, finished second at Keeneland. So a horse that's been all over the country now shows up here. Would you consider this one at all?
I wouldn't be shocked if he won, because this race just isn't very good, but there's absolutely zero part of the Smarty Jones I liked from Mo Quality. If you go back and watch that race, Coal Battle ran pretty well, and the rest of those horses were terrible. So I don't know. He's going to have to run better. He might do it. This is, it's an easier group, but I couldn't do it, dude. I just couldn't. I don't think he's very good.
And Curtis, if I said it once, I've said it every year for the last 10 years. It's the weirdest race sequence for Derby preps ever. It makes no sense why we run. Isn't the rims in like a mile and 1/8?
Yeah. So if you go back to the 2-year-old season at Aqueduct, the Derby prep rims at a mile and 1/8, Jerome at a mile, Withers at a mile and 1/8, Gotham at a mile, and then Wood Memorial at a mile and 1/8. What? Why?
Like look at every track in the country that does what they do, and it's. You slowly progress your way up to the distance. You're not a mile and 1/8 distance. Prepping for the Kentucky Derby. Yeah, it makes, and it's like if you want to be weird about it, whatever. Like that's stupid, but still. But the fact that you're awarding more points for those races, like this, I don't think this is a 50-point race, but when you base it off comparing it to a 50-point race in a couple of weeks, that's a mile. That's bullshit. Like this should be the 50-point race if you're going to do that. It just makes no sense. Like, how? Because then you're getting horses that aren't worthy of the Kentucky Derby in the race with 50 points, which is in turn taking points away from other people or bumping horses out. So I've never understood it. It annoys the shit out of me.
Wouldn't you think to me, it's the easiest of fixes. Change the Withers to a mile and change the Gotham to a mile and 1/8. I totally understand you can't run a mile 16th races because of the configuration. Okay, that's fine. Just change the distances. Make the 20-point race a mile. I know it's the same distance as Jerome. Hey, whatever, get over it. And then go 2 races going a mile and 1/8, the Gotham and then the Wood, and then boom, it's fixed. And the thing that makes it worse, there's a big difference between a 1-turn mile and a 2-turn mile. An Aqueduct is a 1-turn mile. Those races are run very differently.
Yeah.
And they don't equate. And I don't get it. No, I don't get it at all.
Especially when you compare them to like the races also running on that same day, or the same weekend or whatever. It's like those are 50. Like, so that race is a 50-point race. So is this race. Like, it makes no sense that you. And yeah, they do get large fields for that race, Kevin, because it's like they're all like, "Hey, we can see if we can steal some points here with my sprinter, my one-turn horse. See if we, because some of these guys, like, if I can get in, then great." But yeah, you look at the like, I'm just looking at the same week. Well, okay, the Rebel, but the same weekend is the Gotham and the Fountain of Youth and the San Felipe. Okay, that's the same weekend, and I mean, they're all the same point races, 50-point races, not to mention the Rebel the week before, Tampa Bay Derby the week after. But the Fountain of Youth, the winner of the Fountain Youth, the winner of the San Felipe, which are obviously have proven to be highly productive races, get the same amount of points for the winner of the Gotham. So there's that.
I don't know I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then they wonder why aren't we getting any Derby horses? It's like, well, because what's happening is you're running really one prep that people care about, that are serious about the Derby, and that's the Wood. And you're probably getting horses that couldn't quite cut it in Florida, or maybe the timing just wasn't quite right. So they'll go up there because they're New York type trainers. That's it. So the Wood is really the only thing that, and I know like early voting won this race and then won the Preakness. Like, it can happen where one of these early ones produce something, but it's every year it's just becoming like, okay, we'll watch Aqueduct when they have the Wood, and then that's kind of it,
Yeah, it's such a. Either swap the races where the Gotham is now, and the Withers is in a month, or just switch the distance. It doesn't either way.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but that's all you have to do, and then you're good. Because then it's fine. You can have, you can progress your way. If you have a longer race early, that's fine. But then you have the last 3 legs is the perfect lead up. So it makes sense. But if we know anything in horse racing, the things that make sense don't make sense to anybody else. So
nope.
All right. So we're both on number 6, right? Captain Cook to win this race.
Sure.
And Captain Cook is a Derby horse. Yes.
No. I don't think so.
I mean,
0.5, I'd go under.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I think it's got to be under, right?
Yeah.
How could it not be?
I just, Captain Cook, maybe he sneaks in. Maybe Uncle Jim runs a little better. We could see one, but I don't think so.
Yeah, this is not a great race. So,
yeah.
Number 6, Captain Cook for me as well. Good luck. Okay, yeah, we got that one out of the way. Jeez. Yeah, but I think I complain about that every single year, and to nobody, to you guys, and obviously nothing's getting done. So.
I remember when it came out, we are like, well, that's dumb. And then they did it once. It's, well, they'll change that. And then they just never did.
On the flip side, for the fantasy league, I'm always like, hey, you know what? I got this dumb horse that can go a mile. Like, let's see if I can get some points in the fantasy league of this bullshit race. But like, when is like somebody? I'm sure it's out there, so someone can prove me wrong. But name what's a good horse that's came out of the Gotham?
Well, I'm trying to think about who's even won it. Let me pull it up here. Hold on.
I'm gonna try to see if I can beat you.
A good horse out of the Gotham. Highly Motivated won the Gotham, or did he finish second or third? Actually, I think he actually finished second or third. He wasn't too bad.
Yeah, he was pretty good, but he wasn't. He proved to not be that good.
Okay, here's your winners. I'll just read them off, and you tell me. You stop me when you think one's pretty good. Deterministic, Raise Cane, Morello, Wayburn, Mischievous Alex, Heichel, Enticed, J-Boy's Echo, Shagaff. You remember Shagaff?
Oh my gosh.
El Kabir.
I remember that one.
Yeah. Samrat.
Rat.
Yeah. Vijack. Hanson. I think we're back now to where it wasn't a mile, maybe. Wasn't a one-turn mile. I can't remember when they got rid of the inner track. Anyway, stay thirsty.
So when Hansen won it, it was a mile 16th.
Okay. Okay. So when did they start that?
Let me look because I know El Kabir was a mile. Mile 16th was that one. Samrat maybe.
How did Shagaff ever win at a flat mile? I guess because the race was horrible, but
I feel like El Kabir was at a mile.
no, I think he was mile 16th. I think it was
right.
17 or 18.
You're right.
Yeah.
Shagaff was a mile 16th.
Okay, that makes more sense.
J Boys.
It was 18.
Mile 16th.
18 was Enticed was a mile for sure.
Enticed was 1 mile. So Enticed is when it started.
So Enticed, Heichel, Mischievous Alex, Wayburn, Morello, Race Kane, Deterministic. I mean, that's a bad group of winners.
And well, not we, but a lot of people tried to make Mischievous Alex a really good horse or Morello a really good horse.
Yep.
Like when they won, but they weren't,
Yeah.
For derby purposes.
Right. For any purposes, really.
I was trying to be nice. Okay. Okay. But no,
it seems like Wayburn won a few stakes. Like I think he was okay, but yeah, not for Derby, obviously.
Yeah, Wayburn was I know he ran a lot of stakes.
Mm-hmm.
What he actually won, I can't remember, but shoot. Let's see. No, he literally won 2 races after that. And they were both the Sir Shackleton back-to-back years.
Okay.
But he ran in like every big race. He ran later that year. He ran the Wood. He ran in the Jim Dandy. He ran in the Pennsylvania Derby. He ran in the Al Sheba the next year. He ran in the King Edward Stakes. He ran the like all the Belmont races, but he obviously cut back. But he never won. So, he ran 19 times, 4 wins.
Who were the horses Shagaff beat that day? That had to have been awful. Oh, it's Lauban. Oh my God.
Shagaff was the size of a barn. That was one thing about him, though. He looked.
Yeah, he ran about as fast as a barn could run too.
Yeah, he looked like a
dog.
Horse. Really good.
Oh, he was slow. He was a beautiful horse, so I do agree with that.
Man, last year, a lot of people wanted Deterministic real bad.
Well, he fooled me. I didn't think he was a Derby winner, but I thought he would be a decent horse.
Well, shit, you guys remember, like he ran, he looked good, and then Wood Memorial, he had to. I don't remember if he was the favorite, if he was close to the favorite. Yeah, he was the favorite, and he ran 8th. I mean, he was awful. In the Peter Pan, he was awful again, and he just never really got it back. I mean, he won at Colonial Downs. He won last out in the Hill Prince.
Like turf. He moved him to turf.
Yep.
He was
not a bad horse, just
not
a Derby horse, and that's what this race is for. So
right, exactly. It seems like they moved him to the turf after the Peter Pan. Yeah, they did. Yeah. So,
I mean, shit. If you want to go through the whole list. I mean, Hansen's got to be the best horse to even run in this race
to win it. Yeah.
Well,
Stay Thirsty. Stay Thirsty was pretty good.
Stay Thirsty.
Yeah. I Want Revenge was decent. I mean, there's some that are decent, but they were all before the mile. Yeah. Easy.
Well, shouldn't that be a sign that like we're saying the decent ones were before there was a mile race?
Yes.
I mean. It feels like one of those things that's like it's like, but if we did that, then we're gonna have to change the name in the program. That's gonna take time, and then then what are we gonna do about it's just like, dude, just make this. It's not gonna be hard.
One time we were down at Oaklawn, the program thing made me think of this, and it was like there was like just ice and all kinds of things forecasted for Monday. They were going to run. It was the Southwest on Monday. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
And we were addicts, and we were down there the whole damn week. And it was Thursday, and all this was going on. And I said, I think it's pretty simple. Sunday looks beautiful. Just flip flop the days. Make the Monday card run on Sunday and the Sunday card run on Monday. And then if they cancel Monday, just make that card up another time. But you gotta be flexible here. We gotta move this Derby prep. It needs to run. These horses need to run. And one of the people said, well, then they'd have to change the date on all the programs. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, where are we right now? Like, what are you talking? Change the date on the programs. Like, this is not 1970. Like, I understand we operate like it's 1970 in this sport, but it's like you're going to cause a whole week of these horses getting behind, and it's easily fixed. It's just, there's no way we could do it. Like,
And what happened?
There's no way we can do it.
Yeah.
And then, what happens? We're recording a pod Sunday night, and you can hear the ice pellets just hitting the window. And we look out, we're like, we got to leave. There's no way they're running,
Yeah. And we couldn't get out. We couldn't get out because all the roads were iced up. And we were like, we don't, I mean, if anybody's been to Oaklawn, like there's literally no good way to get out without, going through some sort of curves or, and so we're like, well, we could try to risk our lives, or we'll just make our way back to Oaklawn and go to the OTB of the Oaklawn. And so that's what we did.
Yep.
So we were at Oaklawn on Monday. Just I think we were betting Gulfstream or something. So
yeah.
It's but yeah, and we're like, hey, we told you. Remember we were out to dinner that night? And we're like, yeah, they ain't running this shit. No chance.
It was one of those situations. Everybody knew it wasn't going to happen. And it's just like, and you knew it early. Like said, you could see the forecast. It's just like, I just don't understand what like, I don't know. Whatever.
Well, again, I'll say it one more time. If it makes any sense at all, then it's horse racing. At the very least, is going to wait to do it 3 or 4 years down the road.
I vividly remember, because I remember the look on somebody's face that worked at Oaklawn. I said, here's an idea. Don't change the programs at all. Put them out there for sale. We'll run it Sunday. The program will say Monday on it, but nobody will care because they know that it's Sunday and that you switched it. So you really don't even need to switch them, right? You don't have to do anything really other than just flip-flop the cards.
Some people though might think they're in the future, like they might think, oh wow, what's happening? Is this Monday? I don't know. Like where am I?
And what's the worst that's going to happen? The guy comes back, he goes, hey, this is Monday. And the lady goes, well, it's actually for today though, because they flipped the cards. And the guy goes, okay. And he goes back, like, can we not do that? I don't know.
Oh shit. Remember the days when we were trying to make a name for ourselves and we literally were passing out tip sheets outside of Oaklawn?
Yep, I do remember that.
We got in trouble from the people that sell the tip sheets in Oaklawn.
So. Yes, they ran us off. Yes.
Let's say then one year a couple years maybe, we had a girl that sold parking spots across the streets, kind of like similar to Saratoga, and she would hand out our tip sheets for us.
Free tip sheet with every park. Yep.
We had a year or two where we actually had tip sheets for sale in Oaklawn.
Did we actually do that though?
It was part of the it was part of like the Oaklawn Anywhere or whatever. Right. So right. It wasn't actually like the hard. I think they did have them in the OTB actually, but I don't think it was like passing them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we tried everything, guys. We did, and it was one of we're like, this lady came walking out and she's like, you guys have like a sales license or whatever? Like, no, definitely not.
Nope.
All right, we'll stop. So, all right, guys, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingdudes.com for free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button at the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. We will have the next betting Bible, guys, will be available for, what did we decide on, the Risen Star?
Risen Star, yes. Risen Star will be next.
Okay, Risen Star. So again, if you are a premium subscriber, you do get those for free. Those will start gearing up more and more as the trail gets hotter here. So it's a good time to be a premium subscriber, as low as $70 a month, and you will get any and all betting Bibles that are available during your subscription for free in your dashboard. We're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram and Facebook. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, we are there. Go to the YouTube and search Racing Dudes. Hit that like, notification bell, and make sure you subscribe so that way every time we go live, you do get alerted and can interact with us while we go live. We do have a podcast version, obviously, but the lives are quite popular, and you can kind of interact and ask questions while we do the show. So, due to Bet Sports, what's on the tab there?
We took a week off this week, actually. We decided with no Super Bowl. Well, there's Super Bowl to talk about, but let's not do it this week. Let's do it next week. So we'll be back next week with the Super Bowl extravaganza. Week off this week.
You didn't want to cover the Pro Bowl?
No. No.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good weekend to do that. I don't think, everything's kind of, I mean, I appreciate it after completely stressing my whole life out last weekend. And then of course it'll do it again next week. But this weekend is a nice weekend to okay, I can just not do anything and just watch horse racing. So, yeah, I'll only mention a little bit here, but the Bills Chiefs game lived up to it, I thought, as they all do. It's almost to a point where I feel bad, almost, for Josh Allen, because he's a baller, man. But what do you make of? Do you think that the Chiefs won the game as much as the Bills lost it? And what I mean by that is, it felt like the Bills' game plan, the coaching situation, it just feels like the Chiefs have the edge in that department in every game. And Josh Allen's probably the best. He had the better year. Mahomes is obviously Mahomes, but they try. And what did we say all year, Halterman? They tried to do too much with Josh Allen. And that's what they did in the second half when James Cook was just shredding us. Mm-hmm. They kept running that damn play, the little push, tush push up the middle that wasn't working. They cut multiple 2-point conversions. I just felt like that they kept allowing the Chiefs to stay in that game, and then the Chiefs, of course, pulled it out.
I got a lot of text messages from people, this and that and the other, and what it really just comes down to is, for whatever reason, and I don't feel like the NFC teams are quite as bad, but these AFC teams, they cannot make the plays they need to make against the Chiefs. What they cannot do what's necessary to beat them. Burrow's the only one, and even the last time they played in the playoffs, they had chances and they couldn't beat them. I really just feel like that's what it is. I don't blame the coaches or Allen or the refs. These AFC teams just get there where they can, and they've got their chances, and they can't do it. It's a mental thing, I think, at this point. Because look, I even after all of it, the Chiefs have the ball. It's 29-29. They go down, and the Bills stop them. And even you text us, and you're like, "I did it. That's probably it. I don't think they'll stop them." And I was sitting there watching, thinking the same thing, thinking, I think this is their chance. And they couldn't do it, right? And it's just after all the shit that happened in that game and the chances they blew, here it is. And you know what? Go back and watch the Buffalo-Kansas City game last year. It was the same thing. Buffalo had the ball. All they had to do was go down and score, quote unquote, all they had to do. It's not easy to go down and score, but here's your chance. And they couldn't do it. And you can blame the quarterback, the coaching, or whatever. It's every Chiefs game. They cannot do it. Now, I think back to the Eagles when they played Kansas City in the Super Bowl. That was Kansas City winning it more than the Eagles not being able to make plays. Same way with San Francisco. I thought San Francisco made enough plays to win. Yeah. KC just made more. So that's why I say I don't know that the NFC teams are quite as scared of Kansas City because they're not around them every year. But I think the Bills, the Ravens, those teams like that, I think they're scared. I really do. And I think most of the time when people say shit like that, I think that's just dumb. But when you look at what happens over and over and over, I don't know any other way to put it, dude.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say a couple things. This will probably piss some people off, but let's just be honest. If Josh Allen, listen, you have the ball with under 3 minutes left. You're down 3. You've got the MVP. I think he'll win MVP. You got the MVP of the league. He's had a great season.
Yep.
You've scored 30 plus. They set records right this season in scoring, like all the records. What more do you want? You're down 3, and he can't get not only can he not get the job done, he can't get in field goal range. Okay, and there's no excuse for that if he is what you think, or if the team is what you or whatever it is. Like, it was handed to you to take that, and like I said, I even texted you. It's like, oh well. It kind of had shades of the 13-second game, but I didn't think we could pull off another, obviously another 13-second situation. Meaning, the Tyreek Hill, he scores real quick. We gave him too much time. The Bills, what they do, they go down and score with 13 seconds left to essentially win the game. Now, of course, we came back and won. It was insane, but that's what it had the feeling. Like, they're going to get the ball, they're going to go down and score a touchdown, and we're not going to have any time left. And they couldn't even get in field goal range. And so it's like you said, whether you complain about the call this or the spot there or whatever, like I thought it was a pretty even game, honestly, from a call standpoint. It was all there for you. I know one guy that makes those plays, and he's done it every time, and that's the guy that won the game. And so you can hate on that, but that is the reality. It was right there for you guys, and they couldn't get the job done.
And I don't think it's all on Josh Allen, because I agree with Kevin. I think it's on Josh Allen that they got to 4th and long. They didn't execute the plays, but then he gets to 4th and long. He makes an incredible play. Yeah. Kid doesn't catch the ball. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's an overarching thing of just like these teams can't make those plays against Kansas City. They don't do it. But what you said is right. And I mean, everybody listening knows, if it would have been the Chiefs down 3 with 3 minutes to go and Mahomes has the ball, the game is over. The Chiefs are going to win that game. The game is over. And that's the difference. Plain and simple. Yeah. And it's not, and again, it's Mahomes a lot, but their players around Mahomes will make the plays for him as well. They will make a nice catch when they need to make it. They'll make a run and break a tackle and get 10 extra yards, things like that. They're not tight. They don't tighten up. That's the difference right there. When plays need to be made, the Chiefs will make them. And give credit to the Chiefs defense as well. Like you said, to not even give up a field goal. I mean, I thought, well, best case scenario, maybe it's 32-32. We're going to overtime, something like that. But the way the Bills were moving the ball, I thought they're going to get down there and this is going to get really tight. No, and really, it didn't even get nerve wracking.
Yeah, no, it really didn't. No.
It's just like, I can't explain it, because I watch Josh Allen every week, and I feel like, I really believe this. If that was the Ravens in those uniforms, but they were the same players, they would have went down and won the game.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah. It's, it never really, you got to give, like, Spags, man, that guy, just the way, some of the blitz packages like that. Even Josh said after the game, he's like, I didn't, he actually shifted the line left. They completely disguised the blitz. They brought Karlaftis, and one of the safeties over, and just, didn't see it coming, right? And so that completely had to get rid of the ball. Now I agree, like that was insane throw to get it even in the ballpark of Kincaid. It fluttered, so maybe made it challenging, but yeah, he's got to make that catch.
Catch it
at that point for sure. But even then, like, it was like 3rd and 8, and we picked up the first down. That's just the thing. Like, they just find ways to get that, to keep from the Bills from getting the ball. Yep. And the last thing I'll say, Kevin, you're my boy, you're on my team, and I don't necessarily disagree. The spot, like, that's what everyone talks about. The spot. Did he get the first down? Show me where he got it for sure. Show me definitively. Now, I say that for that purpose, because if they would have ruled it a first down, it would have stayed a first down. Now, I get it. Like, one way or another, that sucks, right? However they call it. But there was no definitive proof that he got the first down. And that, in a sense, is the problem. Can you not pick up more than 3 inches? Like, that's what you're depending it on a 3-inch play? Like, that you needed 3, like, run something that gets you a yard. You're on an away game in the playoffs. You got to know you may not get that call. Take it out of the ref's hands, So I understand the frustration there. Trust me, I do, because if it was the other way around, I'd be pissed as well. But at the end of the day, you got to get more than 6 inches.
They got tight. They called tight. They didn't call what they would normally call. When they were ahead and they were driving, they got tight. I'm telling you, there's something to it. Instead of just winging it and going and scoring, and that wouldn't have put like the final nail in the coffin. But then you got a lot of doubt on that other side for the first time. And instead, they called way too conservative. And that's what happened. Now, did he make it? Did he not? I mean, it looked like he made it to me, but at the end of the day, you're right. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, you've got a freak back there. Let him go win the game. And I'm not talking about a quarterback sneak that could go one way or another.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Like, I feel like the Bills probably have no less than 20 plays that could get a yard.
Yeah.
Like a safe yard to get that where it's a very clear first down, right?
Yep.
And yet they kept running the tush push. And it was clear, like the Chiefs knew, like had eyed that because they kept overloading it and it wasn't working.
Yep.
I mean, anyways, all right.
Well, and every time I hear they're going to shut down Mahomes' running game, and I just laugh. It's like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
No, they're not. People don't understand. The Chiefs don't game plan for Mahomes to run. He just knows when to run better than anybody I've ever seen in my life.
It's insane that it's the most underrated. I mean, just we have called to my remember, and I watch every single game since the time he dislocated his knee when he did the QB sneak, which was years ago.
Yeah,
I think they've ran 3 different designed QB runs for him
right
since then, which has been 5+ years, 5 years ago. One was in the 49ers game in overtime when it was a 4th down, had to have it. Literally had to have it. It was in overtime. You had to get it. And then there was a 4th down play last week earlier in the game. They did it. And then they did it on that one play, the touchdown.
Yep.
In that game. They did it twice last week, 3 times. And it's obviously something that works. He just is a different animal in playoffs. I mean, it just makes no sense.
I asked my dad, how many yards you think he'll run for, and he says as many as he needs. Like, if he needs to run for 0 yards to win, then that's what he'll do. But if he needs to run for 40 for them to win, that's what'll happen. And that's pretty much what happens every single time. And I get why people are like, I hate this guy and I hate this team, because it is annoying. They just never flinch.
Yep. Yeah, it's I love it. I don't think I don't find it annoying at all.
No.
Although I am creating, and I think we are creating. Kevin, I saw the comment. I'm not even gonna mention it, because that's insane. We're creating monsters of kids now that just think all we do is the Chiefs is win. Like my kids are like, yeah, guess we're going to Super Bowl again. Like, there's 3 years.
Yeah.
AFC Championship. Yeah. It's like, all right, cool. It's like, guys, you guys have no idea. It's brutal.
One year when they go, 8 and 9, everybody's gonna like, what is going on? Andy Reid has lost it. The game has passed him by. He's got to be fired immediately. Like, that's all gonna happen.
Kevin, just so I know, like, are you being funny? You cannot think that's you can't say you lean towards Hurts.
Oh, good Lord. If you think he's being serious, you're dumber than the comment.
Well, he said locker room problems. So the way, okay. I mean, listen.
God.
Some people like Jalen Hurts. Hey, you know what? The best game I've ever seen that guy play was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah. No doubt. He was unbelievable in that game, and they still lost.
I mean, he was true. Like, he made every single throw.
He was awesome in that game. Yeah.
And he had what do you have? Literally, didn't he have 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns in that game?
I mean, he was incredible, and the throws he was making in that game was incredible.
On the gotta have it throws too, the big moment throws.
Yep. And listen, he's tough as hell, and he's a gamer, and I think the Eagles will make it a game. I really do. I don't think they'll beat them, but I think they'll make it a game.
Yeah, and Saquon's probably the MVP, honestly. I mean, that guy is
he's awesome.
Just insane. I mean, what he's done over there.
He'll be tough to stop.
Yep.
He will be.
Well, that's just it. Like, you call Jalen what you want, but with Saquon over there, it makes guarding doing both almost impossible.
Yeah.
You can shut down the run, so to speak. Oh, but by the way, you've got two, Pro Bowl type caliber players on. Goddard's no slouch either.
Yeah.
Receivers. So and Jalen. So yeah, it's a tough ask. The Eagles. Remember early in the year, everyone wanted to fire the head coach and like what's wrong with them, and the Eagles suck, and locker room problems and all this shit, and here we are. So
Yep. I know everybody thought he was the worst coach, and now he's in the Super Bowl, and they did it convincingly. They really played well through that run.
Well, they beat the shit out of Commanders. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, you talk about just a collapse of epic proportions.
Honestly, like I stopped paying. I was doing other stuff. I kind of stopped paying attention to it like closely, and I was like, and I watched. I saw the final score like 55. Holy shit!
Yeah.
But they had they have 4 or 5 turnovers, and they all resulted in touchdowns.
Yeah, it was bad.
And when you do that, and the game was close at half, it was a good game. Like it felt like it was going to be that game.
Yep.
And then those turnovers, man, and they weren't even by Jaden either. That's what was rough.
Yeah, Jaden played pretty well. If they wouldn't have had those turnovers early, I think it would have been. I still think the Eagles were better. I think they would have beat them, but it would have been closer for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean. It almost felt like at the very even it's just to kick it off. You're like, all right, they're climbing up. Like they're going to have to be extremely good to win this game just because of the mistakes they were making.
Yeah, I thought Washington would keep it close, and you're right. After a quarter, I was like, this is not going to be that close. It just felt like you said it. What did you text us about the Philly is just the team that knows how to win or something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember how I said it, but it's basically like. Philly is a team that's been there before and knows how to win these big games, and Washington looks like a team that's trying to get there,
Yeah.
And
that's it.
That was pretty evidently on display, I felt like. So
Yep. I totally agreed with that. It really, really looked it. Yeah.
All right, guys, make sure you go check out the Magic Mike show as well. I believe they did the Gulfstream Park Pick 5, so go check them out. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Again, big weekend of 3 Derby preps. Stay tuned for early in the week where Hallsburn gives his kind of recap of the Kentucky Derby. And, of course, blinkers off next week where we'll talk about more racing and, of course, it's our Super Bowl predictions as well. So stay tuned for that. But, again, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.